I want to talk a little bit today about ways that we can get a little bit more freedom and ease in how we approach situations in our life, because summer is all about freedom and ease. You know, the work that I do in my online courses and with my clients is all about more freedom and ease in your life, and looking at, you know, those ways that your mind and your you get into these situations where you follow the same patterns and you get stuck sometimes. And so getting people unstuck is kind of a lot of what I do. And since I'm up here in the tree perch, I wanted to talk a little bit about going on the balcony, or the observer's perch perspective, to looking at some of those really tough challenges that we face in our lives, where, you know, we just get stuck and we ruminate and we think and think and think and think and try to figure out different ways of seeing things and just stay stuck. And so, you know, if you've ever taken a meditation class or practiced any meditation, you know, the premise of that is all about that we are not our thoughts, and that we actually have a higher place within ourselves from which we can watch our thoughts. And when we do that, it opens up a lot more choices and possibilities, because just that little bit of distance, that little bit of disidentifying with, you know, that hamster wheel that our mind can sometimes be on, watching, you know, just watching what happens, can really shift our perspective. And I want to talk a little bit today about how we can do that for situations that are external to us. So, you know, those big, hairy challenges that we just can't seem to get a hold of, that we can, in the terminology of leadership studies, go up on the balcony. And in the terminology of, you know, if you ever follow any of those cosmic consciousness blogs or websites, they call it the observer's perch. And the idea of the observer's perch is that, you know, of course we want to feel our feelings and honor how we feel about a situation and honor our own intuitions and thoughts about it. But sometimes we get stuck there and we can't see more possibilities from within, you know, that space of being really closely identified with the situation. And so, you know, in his book, The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about, you know, in his second agreement, Don't Take Anything Personally, about how everyone lives in their own dream. Everyone lives in their own world. And that very little of what happens has to do with you, even though the way you experience it has everything to do with you. And so just putting that little bit of separation between you and the situation, going a little bit higher and watching what's happening, can really open up new possibilities. And so in the you know, leadership studies sort of vein of looking at this, we talk about, you know, going on the balcony in a situation and opening up multiple interpretations. And so, you know, our default interpretation of any situation is usually, you know, habitual. It's usually pretty predictable how we're going to respond to a situation. And we can actually open up more possibilities by getting intensely curious. So, you know, your first interpretation of a situation, if you only have one interpretation, it's said that that's actually an assumption. So if you're starting with an assumption and you're stuck, then you're kind of going to be stuck for a while, because you can't get very far with just one assumption in any situation. And so if you hop up on the balcony, hop up a little bit higher, hop into that observer's perch, remove yourself and your emotional state and everything about you as much as you can, as much as anybody can, and look at it like it has nothing to do with you. Look at the situation, observe it, and think about, you know, what might be motivating the people in this situation? What are some other possibilities that are going on here? And you don't have to buy every idea that you come up with. You can rent it, you know, and just generate a list just to, you know, create more space and openness. But when you look for multiple interpretations, when you get really, really curious, it's very difficult, for me anyway, to be both curious and angry, curious and stubborn, curious and stuck, because that curiosity in and of itself just opens the door for other ways to look at things and gives us more possibilities that we can work with. And so, looking for all of those interpretations, even if you don't buy into, three-quarters of them, there may be something that happens in that process that just shifts just a little bit of your perspective enough to get you making progress again on something that you really were just in that hamster wheel in your brain on. Um, so I invite you to try this. So if you've got, we all have situations in our lives that are just tricky, and we just search and search and search and we can't find the answer. To first, honor your feelings, your intuitions, and your initial interpretation of that. It's important, and it may be, may very much be true. But if you're stuck there and it's not helping to stay in that, to step outside, put yourself on the balcony, look at the situation as though you're not involved in it, and see how many ideas you can come up with about what's going on. I'd love to hear about what happens for you when you try this, and I'd love for you to join us in our Facebook group and to download your free e-workbook, which is my gift to you. There's a link right here in the introduction to this video, and I hope you'll do that, and let me know how this goes for you.